Good morning, dear students. Today we'll discuss an important topic of class 11th, namely the animal tissue. Animal tissue forms the basis of many topics which you will study later on in your 11th and 12th class. So we have taken this topic in our first lecture so that you can develop concepts about what you are going to learn in your successive lectures. The term tissue. The word tissue was coined by Xavier Bichet. He gave the general term tissue for both plants and animals, whereas Grew coined this term in relation with plant anatomy. Study of tissue is called histology. So you can see histology refers to study of tissue. This term was coined by Mayer. So these were the historical aspects about tissue. Coming to definition of tissue. Tissue can be defined as a group of cells which are similar in structure, origin and function. So you have to remember it is a group of cells which are similar in structure, origin and function. The microscopic study of tissue and organs in relation to their function is known as histology. Coming to classification of animal tissues or the types of animal tissues. We can recognize four major types of tissues in animals. These are number one, the epithelial tissue, which originates from all the three germ layers, namely ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Epithelial tissue is one of the oldest tissue or the most primitive tissue in any living organism. The second is the connective tissue, which originates only from a single layer mesoderm. It is the most widespread tissue in our body. Third is the muscular tissue, which also originates only from a single layer mesoderm. And the fourth is the nervous tissue, which originates from the first layer, which is the ectoderm. So we'll take these tissues one by one. First, we'll take epithelial tissue, also called epithelia. The term epithelium was coined by a scientist, Roche. It is an important question, very frequently asked. This term was originally applied to a thin skin which covers the nipple. You can see the various types of epithelial tissue. First is the simple squamous epithelium. Second is the simple cuboidal epithelium. Third is simple columnar epithelium. And fourth is simple ciliated columnar epithelium. We'll discuss these tissues, epithelial tissues, one by one. As we have just told you, epithelial tissue is the first formed tissue in an embryo. The cells of the epithelial tissue rests upon a basement membrane. They rest upon a basement membrane. But the important point to note is in transitional epithelium, it is a special type of epithelium, the basement membrane is absent. Therefore, the transitional epithelium, because of the absence of basement membrane, has capacity to stretch. This is an important property of transitional epithelium. It can stretch. The epithelial tissues generally have a good power of regeneration after injury. As you can see, any injury in the skin can lead to regeneration due to presence of epithelial tissue in the skin. Coming to classification of epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissues can be divided into two types: simple epithelial tissue and compound epithelial tissue. This classification is based on number of layers. Simple epithelial tissues are one cell thick, whereas compound epithelial tissues are more than one cell thick. Simple epithelial tissue are further divided into five types. Number one is a squamous epithelium, number two cuboidal, number three columnar, fourth is ciliated, fifth is pseudostratified. The ciliated epithelium is further divided into two types, columnar and cuboidal, whereas the compound epithelium are divided into two types, stratified and transitional. Stratified compound epithelium are further of four types: squamous, cuboidal, columnar and columnar ciliated. The squamous compound epithelium is further of two types, keratinized and non-keratinized. First, we will discuss simple epithelial tissue. As we have seen in the classification, simple epithelial tissues are single layered thick. So this epithelium is a single layer thick or unilayered thick epithelium. The cells are arranged in a single layer, forming one cell thick epithelium, and the classification of simple epithelium is, as we have just seen, number one is the simple squamous epithelium. As you can see in the diagram, this is the basement membrane. This is the basement membrane on which the cells are present, and the cells you can see are arranged close to each other so that there is practically no space between the cell. So the intercellular space, as you can see, is absent. Whatever intercellular space is present, that is filled by a cementing substance which is known as desmosome. The simple epithelial tissue is also called pavement epithelium as it resembles a pavement. As we have just seen in the diagram, it consists of large flat cells. As we were discussing, the edges fit closely together like tiles in the floor. So there is practically no intercellular space. As they look like tiles, therefore they are also known as pavement epithelium. The cells rest on a basement membrane. The nucleus of the cells are flat, and the nucleus is present in the center of the cell. Coming to the presence of this epithelium, it is present in terminal bronchioles, alveoli of the lungs, walls of the Bowman's capsule, descending limbs of loops of Henle, of the nephrons of the kidney, membranous labyrinth, blood vessels, lymph vessels, heart, coelomic cavities, and retate testes of the testes. In the blood vessels, lymph vessels, and heart, it is known as endothelium. This is an important question. This is a very frequently asked question. What is the name of tissue present in inner layer of the blood vessels? The answer will be endothelium. In the coelom, it is called mesothelium. It lines the cavities of the body are known as coelom. The cells of the endothelium and mesothelium may become wavy. It can attain this type of structure, a wavy structure, and this type of wavy structure is called tessellated epithelium. Coming to simple cuboidal epithelium. As you can see in the diagram, the cells appear cube-like in shape with the nucleus present in the center, and the cells rest on a single layer called basement membrane. So the cells are cubical, the nucleus are round, and in the center of the cell, the cuboidal epithelium often forms microvilli on their free surface, giving a brush border appearance. This is another important question. What are the brush border epithelium? So the answer will be the cuboidal epithelium having villi on their surface or microvilli on their surface are called brush bordered epithelium, and the microvilli increases absorptive surface area. So it is present in those parts of the body where the surface area has to be increased. In the ovaries and seminiferous tubules of the testes, it is called germinal epithelium because it gives rise to germ cells, therefore known as germinal epithelium. The gametes, are the germ cells, ova and sperms. The other places where cuboidal epithelium is present are the small salivary and pancreatic duct, thyroid, membranous labyrinth, the PCT and DCT of the nephrons, and the pigment cells of the retina of the eye. A general function of cuboidal epithelium is it helps in protection, absorption, excretion, and gamete formation. These are the general functions of the cuboidal epithelium. Coming to third type of simple epithelium, which is the columnar epithelium. The cells are elongated. This is the shape of these cells. The cells are elongated. That is, their length is more. This length is more as compared to their breadth. Therefore, they appear as columns. Nucleus generally lies towards the lower part of these cells. The cells again rest on basement membrane. The outer free surface of each cell is slightly broad. As we discussed, the nucleus lies near the base of the cell. This type of epithelium is present in stomach, intestine, gallbladder, and bile duct. It also forms various gastric glands, the intestinal glands, and the pancreatic lobules. So it is also present in glands associated with alimentary canal. Wherever it is present in glands, it is given another name which is known as glandular epithelium. The general function of columnar epithelium is protection, secretion, and absorption. Coming to the fourth type of epithelium, which is the simple ciliated epithelium. The cells bear hair-like outgrowths, and these hair-like outgrowths are known as cilia. You can see the diagram of this epithelium. These are the hair-like outgrowths known as cilia. It is of two types. Ciliated columnar epithelium, when the cells it comprises columnar cells which have cilia on their free surface. This type of epithelium is present in the respiratory tract and fallopian tubes. In the respiratory tract, it helps in movement of the mucus, and it also helps in filtering the incoming air, from dust and microorganisms. In fallopian tubes, it helps in movement of the ova. It is also present in the ventricles of the brain and central canal of the spinal cord. In this part, it helps in movement of cerebrospinal fluid. It is also present in tympanic cavity and auditory tube. Second type of ciliated epithelium is the ciliated cuboidal epithelium. It consists of cubical cells which have cilia on their free surface. It is present in some parts of the nephron. The respiratory tract, cilia helps to push mucus towards the pharynx. In the oviducts, the cilia helps to move the egg towards the uterus. Coming to fifth type of epithelium, which is the pseudostratified. As you can see, the cells are of columnar shape. So the shape is similar to columnar epithelium, but the cells are of unequal size. So you can have one cell of this length and the another cell can be only of this length. Therefore, the nucleus will also be at variable levels. Of course, both the cells will be present on basement membrane. So you can see the epithelium is one cell thick, yet it appears to be multi-layered. It appears as multi-layered because the cells are of different heights. Therefore, the term used is pseudo. Pseudo means false. Coming to compound epithelium, which are the multi-layered epitheliums. You can see various types of compound epithelium. You have ciliated pseudostratified epithelium, keratinized, which is present in the skin, stratified squamous epithelium, ciliated pseudostratified epithelium, and keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. The compound epithelium are made up of more than one layer of cell. They may be stratified or transitional. Coming to stratified epithelium, it has many layers of cells, but remember the deepest layer will always be made up of columnar or cuboidal cells. Stratified squamous epithelium is of two types. Number one is keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. It is known as keratinized because it contains a waterproof protein which is known as keratin. Keratin, as I just told you, is impermeable to water and is also resistant to mechanical abrasions or injuries. So this type of epithelium will be present in skin. It provides protection to the skin, from microorganisms. Coming to non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, the cells are similar to keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, but the important point of difference is that keratin is absent. The waterproofing substance is absent. Therefore, it is unable to check water loss and also provides only moderate protection against abrasions. It is present in buccal cavity, tongue, pharynx, esophagus, anal canal, lower part of urethra, vocal cords, vagina, cervix, conjunctiva, inner surface of the eyelids and cornea of the eye. The stratified cuboidal epithelium is present only to a limited extent in our body. It is outer layer of cuboidal cells and basal layer of columnar cell. It is present in some fish and some tailed amphibians. Similarly, stratified columnar epithelium also is present only to a limited extent in human body. It covers the epiglottis and mammary gland ducts and some parts of urethra. The stratified ciliated columnar epithelium, also present only to limited extent. It lines the pharynx and the upper part of the soft palate. Coming to transitional epithelium. Transitional epithelium consists of 4 to 6 layers of cells. The deepest layers are columnar or cuboidal. The cells of the surface are globular or umbrella shaped. But the most important point we had just discussed is there is no basement membrane. Therefore, it can stretch. And it is found in those places of the body which needs stretching, like the urinary bladder. As the urine is gradually filled, the urinary bladder needs to stretch. Therefore, it contains transitional epithelium. Similarly, the renal calyx, the renal pelvis, the ureters, these are the organs which needs stretching. Therefore, they are lined by transitional epithelium. Coming to our last topic on the epithelial tissue, the glandular epithelium or the glands. Glands are classified in different ways. The first classification is according to the site of secretion. Glands are of three types: the exocrine, endocrine, and the heterocrine glands. Coming to the exocrine glands, their secretions on the epithelial surface, they secrete their secretion directly through ducts. And the important exocrine glands are the salivary glands, the gastric glands, intestinal glands, tear glands, sweat, oil glands, mammary glands. These glands can be of two types: unicellular or multicellular. When unicellular, they secrete mucus. These are called goblet cells. Multicellular, these glands consist of two portions, a secretory portion and a duct. The second type of gland are the endocrine gland or the ductless glands. They are devoid of ducts. They lack ducts. They do not contain ducts. Therefore, they pour their secretion directly into the blood, and their secretions are known as hormones. The important endocrine glands you are well aware are thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary, adrenals, thymus, and the hypothalamus. Heterocrine glands. Important glands, they have both exocrine as well as endocrine part. The important heterocrine glands of our body are the pancreas and gonads. These are the various types of exocrine glands. You have three major types of exocrine glands. Number one is merocrine, apocrine, and the holocrine glands. We'll discuss these glands one by one. One is the merocrine gland. Merocrine glands are those glands which discharge their secretion without undergoing any change. And as it does not undergo any change, therefore, there is no loss of cells or their parts. Example, the glands associated with alimentary canal like salivary glands, intestinal glands, and goblet cells. Second are the apocrine gland. The secretion is present only in the apical part, of the cell. It can be a type of cell, and this is the only part which is filled with secretion. This is the apical part which is filled with secretion, and only the apical part breaks to release the secretion. Example are the mammary glands and some sweat glands. Third are the holocrine gland. Secretion is filled completely inside the gland, and the complete gland ruptures to release the secretion. Complete gland disintegrates, discharges its secretion. Example, the sebaceous glands.